Right, back live with you tonight. Let's continue then with our focus on the ANC's recent National Executive Committee meeting with political analyst now Elvis Masoga. Elvis, good to have you and thank you very much for coming on. The ANC confident that they could go into this 2024 elections without any coalitions and be able to retain power. What are they not reading correctly, especially if you look at what's happening in some of the major metros in Gauteng, where they are currently only governing through a coalition?
Yeah, firstly, Thabo, let me pass my humble greetings to you and all the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. Thanks very much. And maybe to venture into your question, Thabo, I'll say, this is a cataclysmic, moment for the ANC as a liberation movement, but most importantly, as a political party that is governing the Republic of South Africa, because even, surveys, different, researches have been undertaken, and there is a clear fear, even on the part of the ANC leadership, that they may dip below the 50% threshold in terms of the 2024 general elections. But, at times you can't foretell, you can't throw bones on the ground and prophesy as to how voters are going to cast their votes, electoral behavior is something that you can't predict, so. But I think they are ready for two options. They are ready for a victory as a governing party, but they are also ready for the possibility of a coalition government. That's why they are in talks within some cycles in the ANC that in case we dip below 50% threshold, must we turn left, meaning, aligning with the EFF, or must we become centrist, meaning aligning with the Democratic Alliance? And there are two schools of thought in the ANC, that some prefer the EFF, some prefer the DA. But it depends on where you stand. But anything is possible because democracy is owned by voters. Voters are the ones who decide what kind of government they put in place. They can remove a governing municipality, a governing province, a governing party, but at the same time, they can consolidate that political party. Remember, the ANC has been consolidating its victory since the first democratic elections in 1994. The critical question now, Thabo, will be, will the ANC be able to continue with their trend of consolidating their electoral victory that they started since 1994? I don't know, but voters are the ones who can tell.
Yeah. What are the instruments, what are the tools that they've previously pulled on to be able to consolidate that victory? I mean, others would have said that they're holding on, for example, to things like the social grants is something that certainly has kept them in the good books of many South Africans. But if you look at the numbers now, unemployment is currently standing at 32.9%, significantly so. If you look at the youth, it goes even higher, close to about 60% of young people who are currently not employed. Yes, the ANC Youth League recently appointed its president, but can that structure do enough to convince young people to give their support to the African National Congress, considering how young the voting electorate is these days?
Yeah, but remember one critical point, Thabo, is that since 1994, the ANC electoral support base hasn't been predominantly centered on the white vote. It has been this, black African, vote that has been decisive in retaining the ANC political hegemony since 1994. Even in the times of, Nelson Mandela, when he was still at the helm of the ANC, you go through the statistics from the Independent Electoral Commission, you check the trends, voter behavior in terms of race, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of, geography, different, geographic locations. We'll realize that the ANC, the major support of the ANC has been drawn from, the poor in villages and rural areas and sometimes in the townships, but very little, from the white community, the Indian community, and even the colored community. That's why you check, the residential demographics of the Western Cape. It became much easier even for the Democratic Alliance to dislodge the ANC, especially in the Western Cape. But when it comes to other provinces, they are usually referred to as, the rural provinces. I don't know whether we have a rural province in South Africa, but it's a dominant narrative in the media that there are rural provinces. I'm not sure whether the opposite of that will be a suburban province. But then you check. That's where the ANC electoral hegemony still stands in the so-called, the rural provinces, Free State, Northwest, Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, Limpopo. That's where you see over-concentration of the support base of the ANC. But remember, even the EFF, unearthing of the EFF in 2013 has created a serious critical challenge to the hegemony of the ANC. Because the EFF is ultra-leftist, the ANC is now leftist, centrist in terms of orientation. They are vying for the same support. But I'm not quite sure whether that might even force the ANC even to dip below 50% in the next, elections of 2024. But the benchmarks, you ask about the benchmarks. What are the benchmarks? When it comes to, social welfare grants, I think it is another advantage on the part of the ANC because you don't have an alternative. It's not like you've got another political party that has created a situation whereby there's a social welfare network that caters for children, that caters for elderly, that caters for people living with disability, disability grants, old age grants, child grants. So that is another advantage on the part of the ANC because there is no any other alternative to say maybe DA or EFF are offering that kind of social welfare grants. So it also benefits them in terms of elections because you check various, surveys that are done. These social welfare grants are changing the lives of people. There are some graduates, they will tell you that, my grandmother has been assisting me while I was studying at university by making use of the old age grant that she was receiving on a monthly basis.
Right.
There are many stories of success that you can hear that emanate from families that depend on social grants. So I think that's another, advantage on the part of the ANC. But like as I say, Thabo, voter behavior is unpredictable.
Elvis Masoga, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on tonight.